You want to join the Space Force? Of course not, because it's a joke. But you know what isn't a joke? Going to patreon.com/WassessCastProductions. For less than the cost of a new satellite station, you can support our show. It's early access, bonus episodes, exclusive content in space!
I'm in space.
Yes, right, buddy, you're in space. Now, again, that's patreon.com/WassessCastProductions. Go space! Or go home.
Ground control to Major Tom. 7, 6, commencing countdown, engines on.
We're going to break the record for most discussions about films you can have. Don't believe me? Tune in weekly to find out. I'm AJ Waseska, and this is the After Credits Cast, the only film podcast that has been lost in space yet again. Seriously, I have no idea how we got here. I'm joined by my co-host, Ryan Metters, for only he can truly keep me sane in the cold depths of this endless void.
Yep, this is Ryan from The Blind. It's a movie joke, you guys will get it.
I like it. I was tempted to go Ryan Stone, but I'm like, what the fuck is my name going to be? There's like 300 characters, and none of them line up with me at all. So I just kind of went for a different kind of bit.
You could have been the hairy guy from Mardi Gras.
I could have been the hairy guy. I knew it. This week's intro song is a little snippet from Space Oddity because we're in space.
We're in space.
And if you want to follow us on various platforms of choice, you're more than welcome to. We're on Patreon, we're on YouTube, we're on Pippa, or Acast as it's now known, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and Stitcher, TuneIn, and Podcast Addict. You can find us there, and if you can't find us there, or I guess if you don't want to go there, you can Google us and you'll probably find us wherever you want to go. Maybe. We'll see. Ryan, you ready to jump into today's movie? I
am. I'm so glad you picked this one.
Absolutely. Well, for those who are in the blind here, as we are nearing the end of the Leia film, we head into space for 2013's Gravity. No, this joke is not going to stop. Written and directed by Alfonso Cuarón, with additional writing credits to his brother Jonas. I guess it's brother. It might have been like a cousin. I don't know. The film earned a total of $723 million, which is over 7 times what it cost. Not bad. The cast is very small, but includes the voice work of Ed Harris and the acting work of Fadul Sharma, George Clooney, and Sandra Bullock. Very small cast.
But four-person crew.
Yep. Four main people. There's a few others, but they're like small roles. I just didn't want to list all of them. There are a lot of...
Yeah, it's Houston and then the 3 astronauts. That's the cast.
More or less. Well, there's that one Chinese guy.
Yes, okay, that one Chinese guy. in like possibly the saddest part of the movie.
Yep. Don't want to talk about that one, do we? Despite having only four significant actors, there's actually 240 awards for this film, including 7 Oscars for Best Achievement in Cinematography, Directing, Film Editing, Music, Sound Editing, Sound Mixing, and Visual Effects, a Golden Globe for Best Director, 3 BAFTA Awards for Cinematography, Sound, and Visual Effects, 5 Saturn Awards for Best Sci-Fi Film, Best Actress, Best Director, Editing, and Special Effects, an AFI Movie of the Year Award, 4 EDA Awards from the Alliance of Women Film Journalists for Best Cinematography, Film Editing, Actress Defying Her Age, Actress Defying Age and Ageism, and Kick-Ass Award for Best Female Action Star. There are many more. I don't have time to list all 240.
Yeah, this was a real good movie, guys. It deserved all of the awards, and I'm so glad we get to talk about it today.
Indeed. Ryan, I believe you have some fun facts for us.
Indeed, I do have a couple, 3 in fact. First and foremost, the film's cascade of debris is a very real and very terrifying possibility. This scenario is known as the Kessler Syndrome, named after NASA scientist Donald J. Kessler, who first proposed the theory in 1978. A cascading Kessler syndrome involving an object of the size of the International Space Station would trigger a catastrophic chain reaction of debris. The orbiting debris field would make it impossible to launch space missions or satellites for many decades. So, I am here to launch the Russian Responsible Satellite Disposal movement, because who the fuck just blows up a satellite because they don't want to use it anymore? One country decided to be like, just fucking shoot it, and then a bunch of people died.
At least,
goddamn.
At least repurpose it for like pornography or something. I mean, come on.
How much? Like, I know this was absolutely not the focus of the film, but hypothetically, how much shit would Russia have gotten in the aftermath of that? Like, holy hell.
I want to say a lot, but at the same time, I don't feel like enough actual people care about space enough to make it happen.
I mean, but when you hear that multiple NASA astronauts died in the midst of fixing the Hubble telescope, holy shit! I think we lost the Hubble telescope with that, like, in the initial blast. Fuck.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that would have been a whole international fucking incident. But I digress.
World War III.
We have more fun facts and not real terrifying facts for you. The actual Chinese space station is named Tiangong, or the Heavenly Palace. At the time of the film's premiere, it consisted of one small habitable module, Tiangong 1, which re-entered Earth's atmosphere on April 2nd, 2018. A second test module was launched in 2016. The Tiangong's program's goal is the construction of a space station, much like the one in the film, by the year 2022. Not that pandemics are going to slow that down at all.
Well, why would it?
Because they're in space. There's no pandemic in space.
I was gonna say, why would it slow them down, Ryan? They're the most social distance away from anybody.
Yep. Extreme quarantine. God in heaven. All right. Last but not least, this film is 90 minutes long. In reality, the International Space Station travels at approximately 17,500 miles per hour, and orbits Earth every 90 minutes. The debris field also circles the Earth every 90 minutes. So that was actually a really cool play on numbers that they did throughout the entirety of the film.
Yep. And just for an additional fun fact, I know I mentioned this during the pre-roll, Ryan, but for those who don't get to the pre-roll because, hey, you don't want to pay that money, that's fine. You're a cheapskate. It's cool. But for those who do, I apologize for repeating information. But so when we were watching this movie, Amanda and I, we had just gotten to the part where the International Space Station, they arrived there, and we got a text from my mom saying, hey, the International Space Station is up in the sky right now, passing over from the, I think it was northwest to southeast. And so we paused the movie and went outside to go look at it. And I mean, it looks more or less like a big, like, bright light flying through the sky, but like it moved quick. We watched it for maybe about 2 or 3 minutes because that's how fast it went. But yeah, that was a really neat sight and just kind of a weird little quinky dink. It was all at the same time.
That's really, really cool. And you didn't see it get blown up, which was great.
I didn't, and that's a great joke to hear a second time.
You gotta give the non-patrons something to like entice them. You'll hear more stuff, more funny shit like that in my experiences with drug use if you go onto Patreon.com.
Or they can hear about upcoming content plans, or maybe even my feuding with certain relatives. You could tune into that.
With certain trash people. Yeah, you can tune into that. It's good stuff.
But for those who don't want to pay for that, you can continue to listen to this, and we won't judge you. Or will we? Some initial thoughts to knock out of the way here real quick. This is my first time viewing this, and I thought it was really cool. A very unique film in a lot of ways. I wish I'd managed to see this in 3D, like how it was originally released in theaters, because I imagine the visuals would have really popped if I'd seen that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I said before, I had seen this before earlier. Like, I didn't get to see it in theaters, but this is definitely a movie that deserves to be seen in a theater. Nevertheless, it is a fantastic story about the terrors of space, but also really kind of like the self-reliance of humanity and finding the will to live when literally every fucking thing goes wrong. So I'm so glad we get to talk about this, and I get to see it for the first time in a couple of years. It reminded me how awesome of a film it was.
Indeed. I got a synopsis here for you, Ryan. It's definitely a different kind of synopsis for sure, but I think it still has the same usual snark to it that I usually put in here.
All right, let's get it.
Our story begins where all the best stories do, in space.
Space!
Where no one can hear you scream. We find ourselves in orbit above a little planet I like to call Earth, where our three heroes are doing science stuff on a satellite. Why are they there? What are they doing? Honestly, not important, because Donald Kessler is about to be proven right when a literal shitstorm of space junk whizzes by our crew at catastrophic speeds. The shuttle they flew in on this is rickety wrecked. Their diversity hire is dead, reminding me of all the minorities killed early in your slasher movies. And our final girl is left spinning in space, her oxygen depleting fast. George Clooney, as an arrogant but dependable space lieutenant, uses his jetpack to save the final girl from what would be certain death. Dr. Stone, no, not that one, is in a panic as her oxygen percentage drops to the single digits. The two make a plan to head to the International Space Station to escape. Unfortunately, only Dr. Stone makes it, as George is flown out into space out of jetpack fuel. Godspeed, little dude. Dr. Stone tries to relax for a minute, but the space gods say, "Fuck you," and set the research station ablaze. Things are exploding and she needs to get out. She hops on the last escape pod and jettisons off to the Chinese station. Why? Because the remaining Russian pod she's on from the ISS is too damaged to survive a trip back to Earth. Again, space gods, fuck you.
Fuck you, yep.
During the trip, Dr. Stone has an episode where she nearly commits suicide, but the spirit of George Clooney calls to her. "Use the Force, Ryan," he says, or something like that. She remembers the escape pod, has an extra bit of fuel for landing, which gives her just enough of a push to make it to the descending Chinese station, just as the next wave of space bullshit is set to fuck her up once more. She hops into the Chinese escape pod and makes her way down to Earth. Dr. Stone has no idea if she'll survive or get to see the anime named after her, but it's a really good anime, you should check it out. But she hits the water and comes out more or less fine. That is the end of this movie. Seriously, though, check out that anime. It's a really good anime. Ryan, what'd you think of the movie?
Oh man. Okay, so I had a great time watching it. First and foremost, the director of the film, Alfonso Cuarón, is brilliant. And he's done one of my all-time favorite movies, Children of Men.
I've heard of that one.
Fuck, Owen, not Wilson.
Oh. Wow.
Damn it. It's not Owen Wilson. It's the British Owen. The British Owen.
Hey, Google. Who is the British Owen? Let's see what it tells me. Owen Jones?
No.
Okay, well, I got nothing.
Clive Owen.
Owen. Okay.
Sorry.
Wow.
I got his last name. But no, Children of Men is a fantastic, gorgeously heartbreaking look at the dystopian life, and I strongly recommend you guys go see that. But going into this, of course, he brings that same storytelling skill to the terror of space. And I love how he sets the scene and juxtaposes a really great soundtrack to heighten the effects of like what you're feeling, but also knows when to cut away completely because no sound carries in space, and it really just throws you in the deep end and just really in that isolated kind of space where you know you're probably gonna die because the space gods have said fuck you like 8 times in a row.
Yeah, those space gods are not cool.
It was rough, man. Like everything was going wrong. Like she finally got onto the space station and got out of the spacesuit and slept for like 2 seconds. It's just like, oh, there's a fire. Why is there a fire? What happened? Oh God.
I'm looking up Alfonso real quick because I want to see what else he's done. Because this is It's got like the DNA of a horror movie in there without being a full-on horror movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
So
I'm wondering if he's done.
he's
Yeah,
a
go ahead,
he
go ahead.
is a Mexican he's a Mexican director. The big movies that he's done, he actually just won an Oscar for his latest film Roma in 2018, which I have not gotten to see yet. But aside from Gravity, which he also won fucking all the awards for, he did Children of Men, and he did Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban in 2004, and the first big one that was really on American radars was Y Tu Mama Tambien, which I haven't seen, or at least I've seen parts of for non-cinematic reasons. Look, I was fucking 11, alright? Y'all need to calm down.
I mean, I'm gonna sound like an asshole, but I was not a big fan of Azkaban, the movie.
You know, it's been so long since I've seen it, I can't really argue the point with you. It's been a minute since I've seen
I
Harry
know.
Potter films.
I just remember being the minority in that one. There was a lot of film critics like, "Oh, this is so great, this is so great." I'm sitting here like, yeah, but like, it totally didn't follow the book like almost at all. I was one of those guys. Anyway, yeah. So we'll dive right in here. First question I've got for you, Ryan, is if you were offered a chance to go into space, not necessarily for a mission, would you do it?
Absolutely not. 100% no, sir. Nope. You can't pay me to go into space. That's horrifying. I like the fact that the main character's name is Ryan was blowing my mind, because I'm like, if I was this Ryan, I'd have died 8 times by now. Holy shit. She is the superior Ryan. She's killing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I would die instantly. I'll go to a place on Earth that can simulate zero gravity. That's fine. I'll check that out. But if I'm in space where literally the danger is upped by 1,000 and anything that goes wrong could possibly likely just kill you, yeah, no, I'm good. That's fine.
Oh, I would totally go into space. I wouldn't want to do a mission. I don't want to be responsible for someone's life. I just want to go and just like maybe like take a step on the moon, or just like float around the space station for like a couple hours. Be like, okay, well, I'm ready to go home, and then have to be stuck up there for like another like 90 days.
Yeah. It's just like, because like all of the things that would be really novel would be like, that would be like day 1, and then you have 89 days left, and it's just like, oh shit.
Like
all right, it's just
like day 2.
Us.
Like day 2, I walk out of the bathroom and I'm like, okay, guys, so like I really have to take a shit, but like it's gonna float up if I do something. So what do I do?
It's like how do in space? What is this?
Hey, yo, guys.
Yeah, like,
I was gonna try to make some tacos, but like nothing's staying in the pan.
Yeah, like seriously, like everything about your situation would have to change. Your safety would have to be in the forefront of your mind at all times.
Oh right, it's never
a
in the forefront.
Slight fucking move might spell the doom for the rest of the crew. Nah, I'm good. Like I completely appreciate all of the adventurous types out there that would 100% go into space. Like I salute you guys. It's not me. It's just not me.
Bring up a bag of chips and be like, hey guys, look what I snuck on board.
No!
Careful, they're ruffled. That's a classic right there. Ryan, do you think the longer takes or between cuts in this film were beneficial to it? Why or why not?
I think the longer cuts or the longer takes really help to kind of sink you into the perspective of the characters. Like it feels like you are moving around in space with these people, and it does a really good job of immersing you in the situation, as opposed to just a whole bunch of jump cuts. Mm-hmm. Especially in the tenser scenes where you've got the space god saying, fuck you, here's a shower of debris for you, and having that be one long cut as you're just watching everything around you explode, like I thought it was fantastic. And I think the early moment where I realized they were gonna like go for this like all the way is the first meteor shower, where the focus of the shot is George Clooney and Sandra Bullock's character, but you see the other astronaut just kind of there in the corner of the screen, and there's no like big musical stinger or anything like that. You just hear the impact, and you look over there, look back to that corner, and that other astronaut is just limp. And it's just like, oh, he got hit by debris. That man's dead. That man died in the corner of the screen, and they kept the shot just to kind of keep you in it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where the jump cuts... So, I have seen movies and shows where they jump cut a lot. I'm not going to reference Iron Fist because I have not seen it, but I do know that's an example. There's also, what is it? The Nick Cage one we saw last year, fucking Con Air, that's what it was. There's a lot of There's a lot of jump cuts in that one too. And I don't want to make anyone feel bad or shit on anyone's show, but to me, jump cuts are a very big crutch to basically cover up the fact that you couldn't get a good long shot to last long enough.
Yeah.
And to be fair, sometimes jump cuts are great, especially when you're in intense action scenes, but you don't want to overuse it because A, it's disorienting in some cases, and B, sometimes just letting the scene breathe and just leaving the camera focused on one moment for a while, just moving it around maybe, is all you really need to do. And I think here it definitely allows us to be relaxed and kind of just feel like we're floating with them almost. Like it's just a very nice immersive, like you said, just very immersive sequence there. And it lets us really slowly build up to the intensity that's going to happen within minutes. Yeah, no, I think it worked really well.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a tool. It's a tool that can be used to good effect, and you're gonna have to have some cuts in your film, of course. But you're right; it definitely can be overused if you just can't get the camera movements down or can't get like a good take of the shot. I would say that this movie, yeah, I would say this movie is since it's pretty much all CGI, pretty much. The ability to kind of have those long continuous shots is kind of a benefit of having not a whole bunch of set that you have to shoot around, and also a very, very small cast, like where the majority of the movie is just Sandra Bullock trying to fucking survive out in space. So being able to kind of have a swinging camera catching these long, complicated shots of her going through CGI space is kind of a benefit of that setting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I almost didn't recognize Sandra Bullock in this movie at first. Like it's not that I didn't know it was her. It's just like it didn't look like anything I've seen her in before. So it's definitely good that she was able to blend into that role super good. Is the fact there was only one character for the majority of the film a strength or a flaw with the film? And how do they go about making it work?
I don't inherently see it as a strength or a flaw. I think it's a different type of story that you tell. And I think if you're going to have a story with one singular character in it, then you have to do a very deep dive into like the depth of that character, because that's where the entire story happens. You can look at the surface of this movie and see, oh, it's about a scientist who got 6 months of astronaut training and now has to survive on her own in space when the space gods are just like out to get her specifically, and that's fine. But when you get those moments of reflection and introspection, I mean, you get the deep conversations between George Clooney and Sandra Bullock's character. The story becomes plumbing the depths of humanity for like the will to live almost, because like you have the parallel where, as a mother, she had a life at one point, and then her child dies. Spoiler alert. Her child dies, and it kind of just throws her life completely off the rails. And she goes about and she like does her work, but as a person she's kind of stopped. She keeps driving, and she's then placed in a lot of physical situations where literally the worst thing that could happen happened, and here you can choose to either stay there and rest, or you can choose to keep moving. And there's something in her that constantly had her keep moving, constantly had her get up, try to put out the fire, get to the escape pod, try and dodge the fucking space debris. All of this from an intrinsic desire to live, despite the fact that she feels like there's nothing to live for. And so you build up to her almost committing suicide. And this apparition of George Clooney coming from within her, telling her to get up and like giving her inspiration to move on. And I love that throughout the course of this emotional narrative, it ends with her having successfully gotten herself back to space. No help
Back
from
to
Houston or anywhere. Back to space. Wow, Ryan. Back to
She's
Earth.
trying to escape
Thank
space.
Space is the one true home. Anyway, no. She finds herself having gotten herself back to Earth. No help from Houston. Like, and you hear Houston on the background radio saying we're sending a rescue mission to come get you, but she makes it to land herself, and then takes her first step. She stands on her own 2 feet, and she walks off into her new life. So I took a huge ass tangent from the original question. I don't think it's a flaw, but I think if you're gonna do a story that's primarily just one person doing stuff, it's harder to do because it's a much deeper form of storytelling that you have to go after, and I think they knocked it out of the park.
Oh yeah, I would say it's just joins the likes of something like Castaway, where you just have one actor acting the entire film to the set, to the cameras, to the people, and just kind of seeing how they evolve, how they grow, how they change, and what kind of led them to where they're at now. It's definitely an interesting direction to go, and I just love the type of like film that you're getting out of it for that reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Like one person shows are very interesting. Like they can be really really goofy if they're not done right. But if you have a very talented actor and a very well written story, like it can be some of the most compelling storytelling that I've ever seen. There's one that I saw with Tom Hardy, and the entire movie.
Are you talking about Venom?
No, I'm not talking about Venom. I'm never talking about Venom. It's actually from this same year. It's called Locke. It came out in 2013, and the whole movie is him driving in a car.
Okay.
It's him driving in a car, and he's getting phone calls from various people, like, and you're coming to realize the importance of this trip that he's taking because he's essentially driving away from his life and his responsibilities and his wife and his children because a woman that he had an affair with is having his child. And he wanted to be there for the birth of his child. And so he kind of walks away from his life in order to do this. And like you get calls from his boss, you know, like getting ready to fire him because he just walked away from the job. You get calls from his wife, like who's realizing that it's the reasons for the trip and like she's gonna leave him, but the decision that he makes to be there for his son because his father wasn't there for him. Like it's a really great movie. I'm just spoiling the whole damn thing. I'm sorry, just watch it. It's really good.
Uh-huh.
Like one person shows can be very well done.
Well, additional question that kind of tangents off that a little bit. How much backstory do you need to know about a character to care about them? Or do you care about them with what's or can you care about them with what's presented on the screen?
I think backstory is important. I think backstory is necessary. how much and how much you need, I think, is dependent on the story you're telling and the skill with which you're telling it. Because you don't always need a flashback scene or an exposition dump to get your point across. If you're a very crafty storyteller, you can have a reference to a character's backstory brought up like twice and have the effects of that be felt in your film. The I think the best way I can put this. Have you ever seen the Social Network?
I have not actually. I'll have to add to our list of things to check out.
God, okay, it's by my favorite my favorite writer, Aaron Sorkin. My favorite television writer, Aaron Sorkin. He did that, and it's actually directed by David Fincher, who does Gone Girl, which we either have talked about or will talk about. Time is weird. Don't worry about me. Anyway, so the character in question, he mentions his father twice. All of twice, like 2 times in the whole movie, and each time it kind of highlights the importance of his father's opinion, but it's literally one line every time he does it. He says, "You have no idea what this is going to mean to my father." That's it. And then like an hour when he's like kind of just like describing how he was screwed over at the end, he says, "My father won't even look at me now." That's it. That's all you get. And that's all you need sometimes. It just depends on how good you are at it.
I guess another way you could look at it, too, is comparing Wolverine, like, the origin story to Wolverine, like, in the main comics. In the main comics, you get allusions to his World War II era years. You get allusions to how old he actually is. You get all these different, like, jabs at his backstory. You don't really get a full detail of it. But it makes him interesting. It makes him compelling. You don't need any more than that.
Yeah.
Then you get the Wolverine Origins movie, and you're like, oh, I didn't need any of this.
I didn't need any of this. Yeah, the backstory is only necessary as much as it informs the story you're telling. You don't need to know a person's entire life in order to enrich 2 hours of their existence, or like however long the movie is going to encapsulate. You know, you don't have to look at their home videos of them when they were 5. It doesn't really matter.
I want to watch a movie now where you see Wolverine just playing back like his old like cassette tapes of when he was a child walking across the floor for the first time, and you see his mom in the background like, "Oh hey, don't put your claws away, don't run with those."
He was born in like 1918. What home video?
Listen. I'm retconning some things.
It's like early Betamax. It's like Alpha Max. How about that? Okay.
Alpha Max. Let's see what else we got here. What are your thoughts regarding the debris flying around in space, and do you think this is a priority for the governments of the world to solve? What is your overall interest in space and space travel as a scientific field?
Oh, man. I mean, I think right now it's not as much of a priority because
Fair.
because the majority of the people that we've elected don't know what the fuck they're doing, or they're out for themselves, which is pretty bad.
I would say in an ideal scenario where we're not dealing with a plague.
Yeah, in an ideal scenario when humanity, we're still imperfect, but we at least have some idea of what the fuck we're doing, and we're kind of starting to band together to really like share resources and just get everything done. I think space is going to be the next frontier. It has to be, like, because I mean, there's going to be a finite amount of resources on this planet, and I don't think we're going to make the switch to renewable energy fast enough in order to really save it. So we're going to have to figure something out. And I think this is just one of the many dangers inherent in space travel that really shines a light on how fucking scary space is. So I think we're gonna have to come together in order to really explore space as as a species. It's not going to be individual nations that go out there and try to make colonies. It's going to be us as a human race. And I think until we get our shit together, that's not really going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I when I heard Trump was like, "Oh, hey, Space Force, we're gonna put more money in NASA," part of me was like optimistic, thinking, "Oh, this could be a good thing." But I don't know. With everything else going on, with everything else he's done and said, I'm just like, I don't see it happening in any way. It's gonna be like good. I want space travel to be a higher priority. Obviously, with the current situation we're all dealing with right now, a bit of a backseat. But on the average given day, I would say that it's something I wish you could put more effort into. If we're not going to be pushing renewable energy or cures for diseases that need to be cured, this is like an easily a top 5 thing for me to want to look into a bit. So,
yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely something we need to do, but it's not the most pressing thing we have on our plate right now. Once we get all of our ducks in a row, then absolutely, let's get that.
We don't want to bring ducks in a row here, Ryan. Ducks have those corkscrew penises, and they're terrifying.
Oh God, what? No, I don't want to know about that. Ooh, let's erase that like out of my memory right now.
How does the depiction of being in space compare to films you've seen?
It's. I thought it was done very well. Like my top space movies are probably The Martian,
Martian's really good,
and Interstellar. Interstellar was just I'm a sucker for Nolan films, guys. In case y'all haven't heard, but Interstellar, I think, did an amazing job of not only looking at the dangers of space travel and just like all the crazy ways that the laws of quote unquote laws of reality bend when you're in space. Okay, that's great. But he also highlights like the sheer alien nature of other planets and just how different things can be once we leave Earth. I think that was amazing. So I think here it does a very good job. It doesn't deal with other planets. It just deals with the vastness in between and how fucking dangerous just the empty space is. So I thought it was very well done.
Yeah. I definitely like that it kind of reels back a little bit and makes this a, for lack of a better word, grounded space film.
Hey!
In terms of so a lot of the space films I've seen, right, are more sci-fi. Like I've seen Alien, I've seen Star Wars, I've seen all this stuff. None of that shit's real, sadly. I know I still want the Xenomorphs to be real. But compared to all that, obviously this is definitely a more realistic interpretation. Not like full on realistic, like 100%. Like none of this stuff is gonna happen like today or tomorrow. But some of these aspects are based on real problems, real issues, and they could theoretically happen. So I like what it brings to the table, and overall I think that the depiction is solid. I just like the zero gravity effects they used throughout the film because it looked very, very realistic in terms of like just how they were floating there. Like I get it's all CGI and shit, but like I couldn't tell right away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It didn't take me out of the scene at all, so I was pretty down for that one. Which leads me to our next question: how important is the accuracy of science in a film like Gravity to you or to general audiences?
Okay. I personally am not very well informed in terms of like the scientific things, like the scientific details and accuracy that goes on in these films. That being said, I know there are those who are. And I also know that if you're going to be putting out something that appeals to the masses, it's better to inform rather than just make some bullshit up about space. So I think it's important that they pay attention to it. I just can't verify how accurate shit is. I know that's
fair.
kind of a cop-out answer, but I think it is important. I just don't know if it's right or not. It looked really good, and it made sense for the limited scientific knowledge that I have. What I saw made sense. I kind of liked I wouldn't say I liked it, but I noticed that when like right as she's drifting off to this Chinese lullaby, she sees George Clooney like right on the outside, and then he opens the chamber lock, and I'm like, "Is she dead?
That's what I
Did
thought the
she
first time
just
too.
straight die?" Like, because I'm pretty sure if he's really there and he let out all of the atmosphere in that capsule, I think she's gone.
Yep.
So
Well, I don't even think her seatbelt was
if
buckled, so she would have just been thrown out of that ship.
yeah, so it's just like that. Like, so when I saw her moving, and I was just like, okay, she's hallucinating. She's hallucinating. All right, this is fine. But yeah, that part didn't make particular sense to me. But I got it once I was like after a second when I was just like, she's hallucinating. Okay,
Yep.
this makes sense now.
I would say minus your hallucinations and dream sequences, where science can do whatever you want with it, really. But in the scenes that are supposed to be real, supposed to be legit. I would say I don't put a heavy emphasis on the science being 100% accurate. You have a story to tell, and if certain aspects are going to get in the way of that, I can understand fudging the rules a little bit, like in D&D. You fudge the rules a little bit to make the story fun for everybody.
Rule of cool. Yep.
Yep. That being said, I think if your film is intending to be educational to some extent, or to try to inform people of a certain aspect, you should at least have the basic information for that aspect, and maybe just the overall general basics of like your theme down. So if you're going to take place in the medieval times, you should be sure that your film is 100% covering the basics of what's needed to make that scene, that setting seem legit. And then anything that ties into your main plot, as long as it's like, not contradicting anything else, should be good. And same applies here, as long as the space travel and all the other like aspects of it, are fitting the bill, as long as the basic brickwork of your narrative structure are solid in terms of scientific fact, yeah, you're allowed to fudge some things that are a little more high mind detail that not everyone's going to really follow or get anyway. So I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Like, I think it's just like you said, if the movie is gonna lean heavily on its realism and like portray like realistic things in space, then yeah, you've gotta walk the walk if you're gonna do that. Granted, budging a bit of stuff to help your storytelling is absolutely understandable, but if, like I said, if you're going for more realism, then you gotta have it be realistic.
That is all I've got for questions, Ryan. I did have one more thing if you wanted to put some time to it. An idea I've been wanting to spin for a couple different films, but this one's like an interesting idea, a little thought experiment. Think of a different. So the idea is think of a different director, any director you want. One that you have a pretty basic knowledge or pretty solid grasp on, like their work and how they operate. Imagine if they had directed this film. What kind of film do you think they would have made by comparison? And is it a stronger film than what's provided here? Like, what is it exactly you're getting out of that?
Huh. Interesting. So when I think of really good directors and writers, I automatically go to Aaron Sorkin. But I also don't think this is the type of movie that Aaron Sorkin would excel at, because the thing that he's best at is writing dialogue, like fast, smart, snappy dialogue that's really kind of like music to your ear, where it makes you listen in close so you can catch everything, but everything that's being said and the way it's being said is just it just makes you feel good to listen to it. It makes you feel smarter to have followed along with it. And in a movie that's this stark, or just one person talking out to the air, one person speaking because they don't know that somebody can't hear them, so they keep speaking and they keep talking, and it keeps them sane, but there's no back and forth to it. I don't think he does this as well as Alfonso Cuarón. Like, I think he's a great director, but I think this is not in his ballpark.
All right. Well, I've been running a list of different ideas here, and I was thinking Spielberg, I was thinking Joss Whedon, but the name I stopped on, because Joss Whedon would have been actually kind of hilarious to talk about, but the name I stopped on was actually Stanley Kubrick.
Ooh, interesting. Okay, let's hear this.
So he's already done 2001: Space Odyssey, so he's got the chops to make a space film for sure. But I think if he had done this film, it would have been a lot longer of a movie to start with. It probably would have been at least 2 hours, probably 2.5. And I think I could have seen him dive more into the psychological state of the main character, and it wouldn't have. I think the initial scene you see where the space station gets collided with, I think that would have been later in the film. I think you would have actually had a longer preamble that kind of builds up to her going into space, and then the rest of the, it would be maybe the first 15-20 minutes, and then after that you're in space by the minute mark of 30-35, that's when the crash happens, and then you have another hour or two of just psychological torment she's going through for the night, just with everything that's going on. She's unprepared for this and everything. I think it would have been similar, but I think there definitely would have been some stylistic choices that would have definitely geared this more towards a psychological thriller versus a sci-fi adventure-y kind of thing.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I could definitely see that. I could definitely see leaning more on the psychological aspect of it as opposed to just the sheer physical terror of,
which I think would have been
just 1 million pounds of debris flying at you just rocketing at you at thousands of miles per hour.
Yep, which I think still would have been a very fascinating film all the same, but it different for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And to poke fun, if Joss Whedon had done it, there'd be more jump cuts and a lot more witty dialogue.
Yeah,
it would not have been nearly as subtle.
Yeah, it kind of would have smacked you in the face, but it would have been funny. It would have been very funny in how referential it was.
Oh god, I can't even think of what references he'd throw in there. He'd have to put a Portal reference in there somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, this was 2013. It would have come out a year after Portal 2. Yeah, no, they would have had to do. Well, maybe. It depends on how early the script they could have gotten that in. I don't know. Anyway,
I would give my right arm to hear George Clooney go space.
You hear that? You hear that, George Clooney? Help us out. We'll make a ringtone.
I'll trade up to my left arm. Give me my dominant hand, but I'll give you my left arm if you do
that. So that is all the questions I have for today. We're gonna jump into the mailbag real quick. Again, just to remind everybody, we have a monthly Whatcast on Patreon. Eventually, obviously we're waiting for emails to roll in. We're obviously waiting for stuff to announce. But I think we're getting close to being able to announce some stuff. I think we're in planning stages for certain things. It might happen. Just wait. Just hold your horses, your metaphorical space horses. Just hold them. But if you want to send us stuff though, Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, we're there. You can find us. You just drop a little message here saying hi, how you doing? This is what I think about space. By the way, yada yada yada, all that stuff. You can also email us directly to get the same stuff to us. Ryan, if they want to email us, where can they email us at?
They can email us at excuse me, that's evacstation@gmail.com.
Indeed,
Space is terrifying.
Space is not that terrifying. You know what's really terrifying? The depths of the ocean. That's terrifying.
Oh yeah, the depths of the ocean is fucking...
So much pressure, you'll get crushed. I couldn't do it. Anyway, final thoughts on the film, where we rank the movie from platinum to shit and all the colors in between. Ryan, I'm actually thinking of renaming shit to trash tier, almost.
I'd be down for trash tier, just a trash tier film.
Yeah. Like it's not so much that I'm anti-swearing, but I feel like it's a step in the right direction to come off as a little bit more professional. You know what I mean?
Yes, because professionalism is definitely what we strive for on this podcast. We do.
I put a lot of effort in here. I think we sound fairly professional on a regular basis, not week to week. I think there's some weeks we get a little out of hand, but we sound professional most of the time.
No, I feel you. I'm down with the change to trash tier. Like I'm a fan of the alliteration and it rolls off the tongue. It's trash tier. Yeah, I got you.
Just like Angel from X-Men, we have trash tier.
Yep.
Bring back that reference.
His power is he has wings, dog. Come on. What?
Dude, just get a Red Bull. You'll be fine.
Yep. Like you drink a carbonated can of nonsense, and all of a sudden you're as powerful as that X-Men. Thanks. Good job.
So back on track here.
What was that about professionalism? Anyway, in order to rank the movie, where are we gonna rank it?
I like how we bring this up, talk about trash tier in a movie that's clearly not going to be trash tier.
Oh yeah, we brought that up because I'm obviously going to put it at the sure.
This is as bad as Last Airbender, hands down.
God, I mean, we're talking Final Fantasy levels.
Oh, Jesus.
No, this was honestly, this was a great movie. I love it when we get to take these really, these highly accredited, very serious films and really get to dig into them. I think the masterful way that the story was told, the brilliant cinematography that was done with this story, the great acting done by Sandra Bullock, who just fucking killed it, with both the action parts and the deep introspective parts. I am teetering between gold and platinum because it's a really, really good movie. I'm trying to see if it's a movie that literally everybody needs to see, which I'm a little hesitant on, but it's definitely a movie that everybody can get something out of. It's visually breathtaking. It's like everything about it comes together really well. I just don't know if it's got that X factor. What do you think?
Well, I mean, obviously it doesn't have the X factor. There's no Deadpool in there. But if we're going to be a little serious here for a minute and not talk about X-Men again. So I'm teetering as well. I think I'm leaning more towards gold, and because I'm asking myself the same question. Does everyone have to see this? And I'm trying to think of what people will get out of this that would drastically change a perspective, that would benefit them in some way. I think the only argument you could really make on that grounds is that it would give you a new appreciation for space travel. It might make you more aware of that Kessler syndrome that we're currently suffering from. But I don't think you necessarily need to see this film to get those concepts. I think those are present in a lot of other media. YouTube, there's several videos on YouTube alone on the Kessler effect and how bad it is. So if you want to seek out this particular information, you can go find it really easily. But as for like what this film brings to the table, it's definitely a technical marvel with what it does. With the effects for zero gravity, with how smooth the CGI is, how good the cuts are, I would say for sure it's at least a gold, just because it's something that a lot of aspiring film creators and writers can learn from. In multiple fields, the sound engineering, the CGI itself, everything. So definitely something that is worth the gold. As far as platinum goes, I'm not 100% sold on that yet.
Yeah. When I think about what this movie does, like the deeper meaning that I get from it is the will to live in spite of tragedy and to live through tragedy. Where you see this woman go through tragedy after tragedy after tragedy physically, and keep surviving, but also in her own personal narrative, like thinking about just giving up, and how she's kind of given up on life from a long, long time ago, and it kind of reignites her will to live, which is a great story, and it's phenomenally told. I don't know if it's like life altering though. Like when I like the platinum test for me, which is kind of unfair to a lot of movies, but the platinum test is Grave of the Fireflies for me, and it's just like, well, did it make you weep? Did it like completely change how you think about war, Ryan? Did it completely change your outlook on like something you had as solid? And
It's fallen short of that, isn't it?
it has fallen short of that. It's an amazing movie. Like you said, it's at least worth a gold. I would give it a high gold, but I don't. I think it just falls short of platinum for me.
I do want to say, Ryan, if people are struggling with that will to live, if they're looking for something that gives them meaning, listen. What you need to do is tell yourself, I can become the Hokage. And you will just marvel at the things you can accomplish. Just drive forward every day thinking, I am going to be the next Hokage.
Before you know it, you'll have a ball of wind spinning in your hand. What?
God, we need to quit these references in our serious shit.
My man!
Thank you for listening. This is technically the final episode of this season, sort of. So next week was supposed to be Wonder Woman. Surprise, surprise, the Rona struck and Wonder Woman got delayed to August. So instead of getting your scheduled Wonder Woman next week, you will actually be getting the next season of movies, and everything will be moved up in the schedule for the next 2-ish seasons. And Wonder Woman will just make a surprise appearance at the end of all that. Probably.
Yeah, because even though extenuating circumstances have happened and it can't be in our women of film segment, we're not gonna not see Wonder Woman, guys. We're gonna talk about it. So please fret not. Once we're able to see it, we will see it, and we will talk your ears off about it.
Yep, our schedule is just all over the place, and it's no fault of anyone, obviously. It's just what it is. We're doing the best we can, but yeah, 2020 has been a weird year. We started off with delays with Godzilla and Kingsman, unrelated to the Corona, by the way, unrelated. And then everything else got delayed. Bob's Burgers didn't get an announcement at all. And then when I found out the other day that that Black Widow had been pushed back to November, it also noted, hey, Bob's Burgers is going to be in 2021. I'm like, well, fucking finally, you tell me something.
Oh yeah, and Bob's Burgers.
I mean, I get it.
I'm sorry. Black Widow has been delayed. Oh yeah, and Bob's Burgers.
I get it. What Bob's Burgers is low priority. I get it. But you know what? I have a need. I need to feed on that Bob's Burgers.
I love it. Oh my god. Well done.
So thank you for listening and patience with our schedule. It's rough out there. Y'all stay safe. But we'll see you after the credits.
Bye.